I want to read a listener question we have from our friend Joasis. Normally we save listener questions for the end, but his question and Lore Corner both tie into this moment. Based on the recent trailers and the exorcism ending, what is your prediction on how Savathun gets the light? In recent weeks, I've kind of pushed the theory that I thought that Crow would be there with us and that she would somehow steal the light from Glint. We don't exactly see how she gets the light here, but if I can offer a conspiracy theory, it's possible that there was still some light left in Osiris when she possessed his body, because we know that he wielded all the supers at once when Sagira died. Or maybe she was able to extract the final bit of light from Sagira before she died. Maybe that's how she died. I don't know.
Yeah. We don't know.
We didn't see it. It's also entirely possible that Mara's ritual did work. And this is my true belief, that Mara's ritual worked and that Savathun still died, but that she managed to cast her ritual and she managed to cast her teleportation in time. She swapped places with something marked with her rune, which is Osiris. We can pretty clearly assume now that she is on Mars. That's where the throne world is. I think it's possible that she died and Traveler chooses to resurrect her with a ghost. I think that based on the trailers, based on the dialogue that we've seen in this season, and really since the beginning of Beyond Light, the line between light and dark is gone. There is no, it's not as simple as good versus evil anymore, because, I mean, good guardians are using the darkness to further, the cause of justice and, protecting humanity and things like that. But we've also seen those who wield the light to it for horrible things as well. The Dredgens come immediately to mind. Dredgen Yor. The warlords of the Iron Lord area. Hell, even Shax's old buddies, running around using the light to rule people. And so I think that this is an expansion that we may not get the answer to how Savathun stole the light until the end of the campaign. It very much seems like almost like a murder mystery plot is going to happen based on the board of clues that we've seen appear since the initial Witch Queen trailer, and it does seem like Ikora and maybe our Guardian are going to be given a lot of visions by Savathun of what happens. I think it's also entirely possible to think that we know Ikora's hanging out on Mars a lot. Does Ikora's ghost get stolen?
Is her ghost not in any of the trailers?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but I think that, it's not hard to put out a fake scene from a trailer. We see movies do it all the time where, we just erased something, or, we put something in, and that's not really what was there.
Right. Especially from like a cut scene.
Yeah. Oh, from a cutscene, it's insanely easy to do. Because we won't see her in actual gameplay, but in all the cutscenes, I think it's safe to assume if you don't see somebody's ghost materialize next to them, it is entirely possible their ghost can be stolen. Mm-hmm. But I'm also wondering if Savathun, because we see that smile on Mara's face, if Savathun took over Mara. I think that's another question we have to ask ourselves. Is she residing in Mara's body? And because we don't know how much time. Canonically, does a week really pass between now and the Witch Queen or not?
Right.
And to my theory about Glint, this is why I want Lore Corner now. We're going to read the final page of the Ripples book, which is available in the Helm after listening to a final audio message between Ikora and Petra Venj about how Osiris was recovered, how Ikora thinks, oh my god, we just wasted all this time doing the exorcism. Savathun got what she wanted. And Petra points out, no, we got Osiris back. That is a big win. Like, his mind being back is a huge win for the Guardians. And for, the side of the light, which the Awoken have pretty clearly decided to side with humanity at this point.
Yeah.
So I want to read this. It's number 8, Correspondence. And it's a letter from Mara to Crow. Brother, the Witch Queen has been banished from the Dreaming City, and we are no longer bound by her secrets. You are no longer bound by your own. I have been told my trajectory leads to solitude. In truth, I believed myself arrived for some time. I would change course if given the opportunity. There was a time I feared you would lose yourself trying to follow me, but that time has passed. No matter the name you take, you are unrepentantly yourself, which is to say reluctant and stubborn in ways I find enraging. And I love you for it. I ask neither forgiveness nor understanding. I offer only sanctuary and tea if you would be amenable. I am here if you decide to come home. Mara. I think that this is really unique in the way it's presented because, yes, you can read this a few different ways. You can read this as this is Mara genuinely wanting to make amends with Crow. And to be clear, that is most likely what this is. But given what we see, the expression on Mara's face, that could very easily be an abnormality in the cutscene or in the in-game models. It's entirely possible. I think that this points to evidence that she's going to try something with Crow yet again in the in-between. It's pretty clear we're not going to see Savathun with the light. I thought that maybe this would end with her stealing the light from somebody. It pretty clearly didn't. I think it's entirely possible that that's the opening of the Witch Queen, is that we see, pretty clearly that we see her in the first mission with her ghost. The question becomes, how does she raise these Hive Guardians, I think? And I'm very curious, like the way that her ghost sounds in the videos that we've gotten this week, Amaru sounds, just what happens. That sounds to me like a ghost that's been around for a very long time, not that was literally just instantaneously created. But I think the last theory that we have to consider is, because we don't know if the Lucent Brood are going to be, if we're going to be fighting them off of the Throne World / Mars. Are these just illusions created by Savathun within her throne world? I think that's another question. And so there's a lot of mysteries to unpack here. And I think the most logical answer is I simply don't know. I don't really have a prediction anymore because I think most conventional predictions were shattered with the exorcism mission.
Yeah.
But I do still think there's a pretty high chance that Crow plays into this. Crow and Savathun have a unique connection. She is ultimately the reason that Uldren fell to the dark side in the first fell to the darkness in the first place.
Right.
Through Riven.
Right. And
she's pretty much been behind the events of everything that's happened in the series since Cade's death.
Yeah.
So when we think about that, and we're presented with that idea, I think that it's more likely than not that Crow plays a major part in this expansion, whether that's just in the beginning or if it goes on. What did she put in Crow's mind when Crow touched the crystal? We have no idea. Did she do something there? Is she still spying on us, during the events of Season of the Risen? This is not something that's going to just be pushed aside for us to uncover in a later season. This is a storyline that I think is going to continue straight in. Is Crow still a major fixture of the seasons this year? Is he more of the seasonal storyteller, really, in a lot of ways, than an expansion one? And we just don't know. I think there's so many intriguing routes you can go here that I almost just want to sit back with us being 5 days away and just enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you make a good point. I wonder if Crow is becoming the it's like a Jesus moment almost, right? Where he's the answer no matter what happens, right? He's the answer, and I wonder if they're going to try to start exploring that side of it at this point.
Yeah, I'm very excited. He's been very key to the seasonal events of this year, and a lot of that's because Savathun placed him in those roles, but also Zavala trusts him enough to be his emissary to Kaido. Mm-hmm. Him and Lord Saladin are the emissaries, and we see them, in the hangar when Kaido arrives.
Yeah.
So, now we have to ask, is Crow relocating to the tower this year because he's hanging out in Cade's old spot? It looks that way from the trailers. He's leaning up against the same post Cade used to, flipping the knife, and the knife flip very much looked like Petra's knife.
Yeah.
I was very concerned about Petra. Now we have to ask ourselves, though, because nobody actually died in the exorcism mission. Osiris, by all accounts, is alive. And I think to kill him off now, after the exorcism, would just be
stupid. If you're going to kill him, you're going to kill him during the exorcism. I could see that first mission, you're going to what, maybe meet up with Crow, rendezvous with Crow on Mars somewhere with Keitel, and Petra like somehow gets killed and then he picks up her knife or something.
I mean, it is entirely possible.
Or maybe he just has a knife that looks
happens.
like hers.
That's probably the more reasonable solution, honestly. Maybe it's a hunter knife. I was just noting, like a lot of people, it doesn't. I don't know that it necessarily looks like Petra's knife, but he's flipping it the exact same way she does.
Yeah.
And like the emote does.
Yeah.
It's very possible it's just the hunter knife. I would say though that I think that this raises new questions about who is spoiler alert talking about. And I really hate to say this, but I think the writing is on the wall for Ikora.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen right away in the campaign, but I think the writing is on the wall that Ikora may be done at the end of this expansion. She may be done. And I think whoever spoiler alert is referring to will be dead by the end of the campaign. I could see them doing it to Ikora. I don't think it'll be Zavala.
Yeah. I don't...
If it's Zavala, because he just seems like he's part of the, not just because he's part of the seasonal storyline. Because if you're going to kill off Ikora or Zavala, it's going to be in a main expansion.
Yeah.
But it really feels like with how heavy they've leaned into Ikora here, that could come. And I'll present one final one before we finally move on to the Chwab and to something fun we've got planned for the end of the show. But could it be, we know that a rework of Iron Banner is coming in Season 17? Is it Lord Saladin?
Yeah, and then Aphrodite would take over, maybe? Like maybe she shows up?
Yep.
I mean,
she's been MIA for so long.
I mean, we've been talking about Saladin forever at this point, right? Because that we went through that whole lore part where he was like reflecting on his life, coming to terms with things, coming to terms with his anger about things that have happened in his life, really dealing with a lot. That makes a lot of sense at this point. He's one of the
we have that.
Titans.
We have the lore from the Empty Vessel when he went to go make amends with Zavala, and Savathûn stopped him.
Yeah.
We have the lore from Tales from the Front, from Season of the Chosen. He was the commander of the war effort. He takes Crow under his wing. There are so many inflection points here. I mean, there's even a piece between him and Ikora that happens at one point. I think it's in some of the Season of the Chosen lore, if I remember correctly. And he is basically told by Ikora, we need you and the Iron Lords more than ever. We're weak right now on our front. We need you. And it hints that, he may be raising up a new generation of Iron Lords for real this time and won't be interrupted by the Cabal yet again. And I'm curious to see how they handle this going forward. So I think that Saladin also may play into this. That's been one of the big complaints, I think, is that Saladin and Shaxx have largely sat on the sidelines for the narrative for the entire series. They may live on in the lore, but really up until this year, outside of Rise of Iron, Saladin had he did nothing in the current day. And I think it'll be very interesting. I think Shaxx is going, we're going to talk about this in a little bit with the Chwab. It seems like PvP is going to be a big focus in Season 17. So does Shaxx take on a more prominent role then? Yeah. And if so, do you really kill off Saladin before a major PvP season? Or do you leave him for the inevitable fall of the tower and he makes his final stand there?
I mean, I think
there's a lot of... I think it is too. So I think that you have a target pretty firmly planted on Ikora's back right now. Her, and I mean, I can't even say Eris anymore because Eris just wouldn't be surprising. It feels like Eris's time has been up for quite a while. She sat there and played around with the darkness. She's flirted with light and dark. She is the expert on the darkness, basically, for the Vanguard at this point. Yeah. She's been bumming it on the moon. I say bumming it because I went back to the moon for the first time in like a year this week to go farm some bounties to save up for the Witch Queen, and goddamn, it's depressing out there.
To be fair, it always was.
Right. It's like, so what do we do there? Like, I don't know. But those are questions for all of you to ponder along with the rest of us. We will have answers in 5 days, hopefully. If we don't get an answer in the expansion, I'm going to be really upset because this is going to drive me nuts until we get an answer about who was this for.
Who's dead? Who's dying?
Who's fucking dying? Hurry up and kill off my beloved fictional characters, Bungie.
You don't think it's like...
We're going to jump into the TWAB, though.
You don't...
Go ahead, Corey.
You don't think it's going to be someone like Stranger, do you? Or Elsie, I guess.
Right. So all I'm going to say is I think Elsie is the one person that is 110% safe because every time she dies, it resets the timeline.
Okay. Maybe she dies at the end of the Light and Dark saga and it just resets Destiny.
I would be so mad. I would be furious. No, I think Elsie is safe. There will be an inflection point that we get to, I think, because she's already noted. Well, then again, she has noted we're in a different timeline than she's ever experienced before at this point. So while it is possible, I think because she has too many quests tied to her, she's safe. And I mean, maybe Eris is safe too, unless they're just gonna be like, oh yeah, the moon is just, there in perpetuity. And it's kind of frozen at a point in time, and that's why Eris is there. Oh, hey, here's a computer terminal with Eris's memories. Go get Xenophage with it. There are things that are entirely possible to do that would just be dumb, but it wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility for them to do it to us. Ana Bray is one, maybe? We are going back to Mars after all. But I feel like she's been absent from the narrative for so long that it just wouldn't hit the same.
Yeah, it just doesn't. It when you gotta hit. It has to be somebody that's gonna hit hard. It's got to be someone.
This is the beginning of the end. This expansion really is like Beyond Light kicked off the final phase of Destiny 2. I think if we look at it like this, I think that obviously. You look at the story of Destiny thus far. Destiny 1 is like the first act. Okay. Destiny 2, from the Red War up until the end of Shadowkeep, is Act 2. Savathun announcing her arrival in Season of Arrivals is literally, I think, the inflection point for the beginning of the final act of D2, of the final act of the Light and Dark saga.
Yeah.
The arrival of the Black Fleet is here. Everything is going really bad. Things are going real bad. Guardians are wielding the darkness. We're killing people in Trials and in the Crucible, canonically. It's really bad. And Lightfall is probably going to be our lowest point, I would say. Like, the actual Lightfall expansion, maybe the events leading into it. And very clearly something bad's going to happen. That name does not imply anything good, but they felt that there was enough of a story to need to do another expansion after, and another set of seasons. So I am curious to see how they rectify all of this and close it, because I firmly believe that by the end of this set of seasons, we're going to have the seeds planted for whatever comes next. We will start seeing teases of what could happen. I mean, there's an infinite way to keep these races that we've been interacting with throughout the story in the storyline. I mean, maybe when we go beyond the edges of the Sol system, we encounter Tortobal. We help the Cabal resettle it and take it back from the Hive.
Right.
That still exists. Maybe we go to Fundament and cure it. Maybe the Traveler, somehow accompanies us and we cure it. We go to the Forge where the Vex are from. We finally learn the mystery behind the Black Garden. There's so many different things you can do here. What if we restore the Elixni homeworld? And, we recover, faster than light travel that we were developing before the collapse. And we're able to, we can fly from Earth to the fallen homeworld immediately to meet with Mithrax and his council. There's so many things that can happen in the future that I'm very curious, because we're getting deeper into the lore than we ever have for a main expansion. I feel like the appreciation of what comes next, if I could give a word of advice to everyone, it would be to familiarize yourselves with the story of Oryx and his sisters. To familiarize yourself with what happened on Fundament, with the Worm Gods. Like, clearly we're going to see flashbacks, but as we've all learned with Savathun, what we may see from her is not the truth.
You think we'll see like versions of flashbacks from her, like as missions?
I think we're going to piece them together. I think we're going to piece together memories and then get them all in a string at the very end. I think maybe like at the end of each mission, like you're recovering memories of Savathun from the Hive Ghosts, maybe as you crush them. Maybe you're obtaining new memories.
Maybe, yeah.
And maybe her ghost at the end comes and tells you the truth. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like Immaru will be a main character. And, of course, I'm making a giant assumption. I could look like a fool on Tuesday morning, and that's not actually her ghost. But it really feels like he calls himself First Ghost. Come on.
Yeah.
But we are only a couple days away. I kind of want to just see what happens now. I look forward to coming back next Thursday and freaking out about the campaign and about the intro to Season of the Risen and speculating about, we may have a raid trailer by Thursday of next week. Like, let's talk about, what's coming up with the raid. We know it's taking place in a pyramid ship. I'm so excited for what's coming. Let's get there, man. 5 sleeps.
Let's do it. Let's sleep. What if we just did one really long sleep and woke up and it was here?
I am going to be sleeping a lot because I will not be sleeping much next week.
I don't think that's how that works.
Let's go ahead and move on to that.
I don't think you could just bank. I don't think you could bank sleep hours, Josh. I don't think that's how that works.
I don't think you can either. But you know what? I'm going to catch up on my sleep this week. I'm going to buy a pack of Red Bull. I'll be good to go. Red Bull and beer is what's going to fuel my gaming next week.
No, beer makes you tired.
Beer does not make me tired. Fine, I'll do shots. Corey doesn't want me to drink beer. I'll do shots.
Oh, God. Then you won't have any memories.
I'll have a few bourbon and cokes. Yeah, if the story goes sideways, I'm just going to have a few bourbon and cokes to even it out. But Corey...